too.
That's right. This game was played in Alekhine Memorial in Moscow in 1992. And very interesting variation from... it came from Grunfeld defense, symmetrical variation. So G6,
G6,
G6, then knight F3, bishop G7, G3.
and now he plays C6. This prepares to play D5 and create a solid pawn center.
Yes, then in case of exchange, black would recapture with the pawn.
And that's exactly what happens as he plays here.
Yes.
You play pawn takes pawn.
Pawn
he recaptures.
Takes pawn. Knight C3 first, then castle, then knight E5, which is important to be in time to be first on E5, then E6, then castle, then knight F to D7. Of course, if you come back, then no advantage, so F4, knight to C6, then bishop to E3.
Now I might point out that this variation, I've seen you had a battleground here with a number of players. You fought successfully with Timon in one match to win the World Championship most recently. And also with Gelfand, you had a battle, as well as with Kasparov. You had several battles in this variation.
Yes, and so I won game with Gelfand, and so I was close. All the games I played with Kasparov, I was close to beat him in this line.
Mm-hmm. Now Gata, he plays knight away to B6 here.
Yes. Then bishop to F2.
What's the idea behind this? You want to free the e-pawn?
Yes, I want to play E4, and my knight on E5. You see, very very good because it's protected by two pawns, and so if you play F6, then you close your bishop on G7. Mm-hmm. If you play F5, then we have symmetrical position, but white has already developed bishop on F2.
And the counterpart is still undeveloped.
On C8, yes.
So the path that Gata chose was he went for just solid passive development.
Yes, bishop D7, and then
now you
E4.
Continued with E4. And here he decided to support his center, and he played knight back to E7. But it seems that his handling of the opening is slightly on the passive but solid side.
Yes, now black has solid position, but white has space and so some better perspective.
So here you decided to secure the two bishops by playing knight takes bishop.
Right. Queen takes, and then E4, E5. This is important. I had time just to close bishop on G7.
So now you have a very nice space advantage, and you do have the two bishops, but the position is semi-blocked.
Yes, and so the only possibility for white now, just to try to stop black initiative on the queen side and to play G4 and try to play F5.
G4 and F5.
Yes, and just to get pressure and maybe attack against black king.
So success in this game will go to whoever is most successful at achieving their strategical goal.
Yes.
Black on the queen side, white on the king side, which is where you have more advantage in space.
Yes. So if I can cut the initiative of black knights, then it will be already okay.
Yeah, in the game he played rook at a to C8, and they said this was a new move at the time. But I don't think this is the kind of position where one new move is going to really alter the result.
No, of course not. Of course not. Just plan, and so masterpiece. How you can make your plan together with bishops to open bishops, and then just to put rooks on the right squares and queen, which is very important.
Okay, so you came to the C file. He slowly improves his position on the queen side with A6. And here you played B3, which is interesting.
Yes, so I decided that the main piece against which I should play, knight on B6. Look, knight on B6 had squares A4 and C4. Now we take them out. the squares.
However, in chess, you get something, you give up something, right?
Yes.
And so you did weaken the a3 square a little bit.
And knight on c3. And black has black color bishop. So in future, it can be dangerous. But still, one piece is very important, and it's forever.
And so this is finished. So now he prepares to double rooks on the file. You go about developing your queen. He plays rook at f to c8.
Yes, and g4 now.
And g4. So here we see what we were talking about. Both sides are just going about systematically developing and proceeding with their plan.
Yes, and g4 is important because now I don't allow knight to come to f5 and to make pressure over d4, and then I want to put queen on e3.
Now he plays an interesting move. We were talking about the dark squares and the knight being weak. He prepares to take advantage of this by relocating the bishop over to aim at this side of the board.
I must be careful because pin is possible on this diagonal, e1 a5 or a5 e1.
But the downside to this move is a lot of pieces are leaving the king.
Yes.
So we'll keep an eye on that situation. Now you play queen to e3. I guess you're afraid of this pin possibility, so you already sidestep it.
Yes, and I didn't want to put my queen on d3 because then knight b4 would be possible.
So the queen from e3 protects your knight and your rook and helps you at one moment if you want to play f5.
That's right.
And now here, you go ahead and execute your planned advance, even though it means sacrificing material for a moment.
Yeah, but then if black would take on f5 twice, e takes f5, g takes f5, queen takes f5, then bishop h3.
And we can see another virtue of the queen being on e3 is that it protects this bishop, which in turn lines up the queen and rook.
Yes. And then queen h5, right?
After you take here, let's say he tries to regain the bishop for the rook with bishop to h6.
Yes.
Then you play queen here.
Yes, and then when he takes on c1, then queen takes on h5. And so white has...
And when he takes here, then I believe you've concluded this variation with bishop takes b7 in your commentary before.
Yes, this is possible.
This allows you to win a pawn, and it leaves him with a very shattered pawn structure.
Yes, but I think there are some other possibilities in this position, especially in this position.
Okay.
Instead of bishop takes b7. But this is clear advantage. Clear advantage
and
for
at
white.
This point, it would just be a matter of which path you chose.
Yes, just according to your taste.
So here we see a very good example, Anatoly, of using tactics to actually execute your strategical goal.
No, you know, the good game could be like this: that you try to present good positional idea, and then when you win positional battle, then at the end it should be tactical.
Yes,
it should be tactic, and then if you win tactic, then you win the game.
Yes, like a concert, you build up and then you reach the crescendo.
Yes, yes.
So in the game, how did Gata choose to respond here? He played
bishop a3.
Bishop a3. So he too is actually pursuing his consistent strategical plan.
Right. Then?
Now you move the rook away.
To d1.
But now, of course, this required some calculation because your knight here is a little loose.
Yes, but it's difficult to use this piece, which is weak now. I called all the black pieces to enter to my camp, but then it was very difficult for them to get back when it was necessary.
But what's also interesting here, one thing I like to do sometimes with my students, is to divide the chessboard down the middle, okay? And if you do that here, you see, surprisingly, very few pieces on this side in the neighborhood of the black king, you see? In fact, you don't really see any over here except the white pieces. So this does kind of bode a little ominous for the future.
Yes.
So now he proceeded, though, with knight to b4, and he is coming in with some possibilities down the c file.
Yes. I cannot defend the c file.
So
queen h6.
You went queen here, and this takes advantage, as you were saying, about the bishop not being able to come back.
Yes.
So here, he played queen e8.
Yeah, this was very important. Why? Because if I would play, let's say, knight b1 immediately instead of
In this position.
then knight c2 is tempo, and then bishop.
Then when you go queen back, now the bishop is able to recall.
Yes, yes. And then my knight is stupid on b1.
And then you have to try to reorganize again to try and break
Yes,
through.
that's why I try to make other way around. So I play queen h6.
Incidentally, queen h6 threatens simply a one-move advance, winning the game immediately.
Yes.
Followed by queen mate.
Right. And then if black would play knight c2, then I don't play knight b1. I play knight e2. Of course, bishop can come back, but then I play queen f4 or bishop, queen g5.
And now the knight.
And then my knight is coming against king. So that's why after queen h6,
queen h6 immediately.
Kamsky played queen e8.
Queen e8. Okay. And
but then
now you played knight to here, and this causes problems for the bishop.
Yes. And then bishop must go to b2.
But
So
now the bishop.
you see, he must go in.
And so
into the position.
he's advancing, but he's getting further away from the threatened kingside.
Yes.
So now you played queen back to d2, attacking the knight and attacking the bishop. And here he's forced to advance some more. But this is actually almost a protective advance, because he has to protect these two pieces.
Yes.
Here you took time out for king to h1. Now what is this all about?
Because you see, he attacks my d4 pawn. I must create some threats on the king side, but my bishop on f2 is not so good.
It's blocking your file.
Yes. Best way just to put bishop on g1, then I open rook, and then my king on h1 is much better than on g1 because this diagonal can be dangerous.
Okay, so after he played queen e7, it's really hard for him to find a plan to improve his prospects. So now he decides to come with the queen. You go ahead and get the bishop out of the way, and this also opens for your rook. Now he decides to get this knight back into the game, but again, the knight still doesn't have too much of a future from here. Now you start to bring the rooks up.
Yes.
This can become dangerous for him. Again, the queen and the rook might come to visit, or you might just continue to double and create more pressure this way.
Most probably I just double and then I threat.
And also, once you double, it's not so easy for him to counter, because then he always has to worry that you block him off and then come back with the queen.
Yes.
So after rook f3, he played queen b4. Of course, with his king under siege, he would like nothing better than to exchange queens, right? But now again, you go queen back to here, and this threatens to maybe play rook over and then pawn up to
and
seal
then
him in.
f6, yes, yes.
So now he has to play queen back. But now this time you don't go all the way back, you go here. So you keep the queen in the neighborhood to visit. So now he goes queen to here. But now this is very clever. You kind of out-finessed him. Now you do go back to keep these pieces tied up, I guess.
Black problem is they cannot come back with the queen because f takes e6. Queen will be against rook. But he dislikes queen on g7.
Yes. So now he continues trying to rescue his pieces.
Listen and learn how the masters think. Discover the thought processes and competitive spirit of a world champion as Anatoly Karpov guides you through his best games and his selected games of Bobby Fischer. Walter Brown shows you how he won the U.S. Championship 6 times and teaches you how to play the Sicilian. 3-time U.S. champion Lev Albert helps you to understand the Benko Gambit. Proudly presented by America's leading chess video producers.
And now you play h4. This is very dangerous for him. You look like you might want to think about opening one more file on his king.
Yes.
So now he plays knight to b4.
So he created threat also. If I take the bishop with the queen, then rook c2, queen a1, and rook take a2, my queen is trapped.
So that's a clever trick. However, you just ignore it, and you simply attack the knight. He, in turn, plays his rook in and attacks your queen. And now your queen goes to f4. So now he still has to retreat his knight.
I have three main pieces on against king. It's very difficult to defend.
So first things first, he protects his piece. And now, bishop to h3. It looks like the bishop is getting into the act. The possibility is when you exchange, then you might push and open up one more bishop against his king. So to protect against that possibility, he now plays here. But this also further disconnects his pieces from the king side.
Yes, and so now he has no active knight.
Now you play bishop to here. This keeps him from playing rook here.
Knight is guarding c3, bishop is guarding c1, and so I have improved position of my pieces.
Okay, here he plays b5. And now you play rook at 3 to f2. You actually exchange off some of the rooks. I guess the feeling being that his only activity is with these rooks.
Yes, but now I am planning another thing, because he opened the queenside and his bishop is out, so this is very weak piece. If I exchange rooks, then I just win this piece.
So this is a new plan, is to play against the weak opponent piece.
Yes. In this game, first I played against weak knight on b6, then I just brought his pieces into my camp and I start to attack. So I exchange active pieces and then I take the bishop.
But this is a game that is a strategical example of another idea of you were building up on the king side. When he called his pieces over to defend that sector, then
I win on the queen side.
You switch to another side.
Yes.
So here he pretty well has to exchange, but first he advanced with the pawn. You exchanged AB, AB4. And then you played rook takes c2, rook takes c2. And here you're able to use that piece to force him to exchange one more pair of rooks. So he exchanges rooks, and now you take with the queen, and here we see what you're talking about, where his bishop is very poorly placed. He went bishop a3. Notice already that if he goes bishop to here, you could already play queen over here, and then your queen comes in from behind, right?
Yes, bishop a3. So he played because he has possibility with queen f8 to protect pawn on a3.
Okay. Now you played queen c2. This threatens queen down here, winning
c7
one of the knights.
Both knights.
So at this point, he decided that the situation was already very desperate, and he sacrificed a piece.
Yes. No, he's using the situation that he takes on e5, and so I can play queen c8 because knight comes to c6, and so he builds up some kind of
fortress.
Fortress, yes.
Mm-hmm. However, you went ahead and played for the complications. He took, and when he played queen takes here, now you played queen c8 anyway.
Yes. So the point is, if he takes my bishop on e3, then queen takes d8 check, king g7, f6 check, king h6, queen f8 mate.
And so he decided for the second idea, which was queen here check.
Right.
Bishop g2, and queen takes here check. And then you played king up. And now we see he has no way to defend his knight.
Yes, he took with check, but then what to play? Queen can come back, and bishop is out. So bishop.
So here he brought the bishop back into the game.
Only move.
He played queen takes here check.
Right.
And king up. Now for the moment it seems that he has 2 pawns for the piece and the bishop, and it's not clear how the bishop can get into the game. However, now you exploit his weak king.
I had to create threats immediately. Because otherwise he can give check and then he pins my bishop.
And not only does he have 2 pawns for the piece, but he has some activity against your own king.
Right. So I played.
Pawn to f6 check.
Yes. Only move.
Only move, bishop takes here.
Then bishop h6 check. King takes. Queen takes f6. Then.
Now here he played queen c2 to pin your bishop.
Yeah, just he must do this. And then I played, I believe,
Played G5 check,
G5 check. Then
King
King
H5,
H5.
and now King G3.
Right. And so the only move, if check, then I give check with bishop. Bishop f3 check. Or even I can exchange queens and bishop f3 mate. So he gave check.
Queen C7 check.
Then King H3. And again, if Queen F3, Queen C3 check, I can give check. Or I can take and just give mate.
So at this point, gotta resign.